Alright guys, this is our last toss. This is another 65 I'm doing today. Nice and open. The sun's just coming out. So I'm going to let them up here. I'm going to try to get this one on film. They've already done this multiple times, so I'm not too worried about stressing them out anything additionally. But here we go. I'm going to try to catch this one for you. This will be the last one before we head off to the races on Friday night. Let's see how we do. Oh yeah, they're excited. Sorry about the camera angles. And of course, why wouldn't they go right into the wires every single time, man? Of course. Right into the wires. But they're doing good so far. We still have 73 out of the 88 that we started. So you guys can do the math. Alright, we'll catch you on when you get home. Alright guys, so camera ready. I'm trying to possibly maybe catch them flying over. Depending on what course they decided to take this morning, they may be crossing over at any point if they haven't already. Again, by the time I got out of there and stopped at the light and everything else, they may have crossed over already, but I would assume at some point they should be crossing, so hopefully I can get that for you. On one of the tosses, I might have been a 25-mile toss. I had my sons with me. The wife worked that night, so I had to take them with me early in the morning. I bought them some breakfast, and they were more than excited to come with Dad. We let the birds up. We drove home. We did see two smaller groups on our way home, and they were going straight east. My birds would have to have been flying southeast, so I knew they weren't my group. Plus, there were smaller 35, 40 birds when I sent up close to 80. But nonetheless, we're riding home, we're driving home, and probably half a mile, 3/4 mile before my exit, we saw our team fly right over the freeway. And it was such an exciting moment for myself and my sons. They're back there giggling because there's our birds. There's our birds flying over, and you can't mistake my pigeons. I do have a lot of color in the loft. I got a couple of light color birds, grizzles, a lot of reds, a few silvers. So the majority of the team are blue and blue check, but I would say a good third is going to be color, and not a lot of guys fly color, so it's easily noticeable as my pigeons. But nonetheless, it was a good moment between my sons and I. They got a kick out of it. So did I won't lie to you. It was super awesome. To my surprise, they flew farther north. Farther north than I assumed they would be crossing over. So I assumed they'd be crossing over somewhere at the intersection of two major freeways, because that would be directly in line to how they would have to fly home. And in fact, they were, I would about to say about 12 or 14 miles off that line is where they crossed over, which is, again, super surprising, but the wind was from the south, so they were being blown north, and that's where they crossed over. So nonetheless, I mean, I still train as close to that line as possible, you know, within variation of a few miles left or right or whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. Because they can be blown way off course, and that's fine. Still, nonetheless, it was a good moment between my sons and I. I was hoping to catch that now, but they may have already crossed over, so instead of staring at the back of semis here, we'll see how they do when they get home. Alright guys, you see them. They didn't beat me home, but I love it when I can catch them on the way home. Doesn't look like my whole team. I might be missing maybe, I'm gonna say 6, 8 birds maybe, just judging by what I see. Again, they didn't beat me home, and I wanted to make a correction. I watched the video I made earlier, and it wasn't a 65-mile toss. It was a 35-mile toss. The 65 was yesterday. I just had the 65 in my head, and that's what came out of my mouth. So this week's training, I took him 35 on Monday, 15 on Tuesday. I was going to take him 35, but because of the fog, I had to bring him back, and I let him go at the 15. And then yesterday I sent him with a buddy of mine to 65, and they did just fine. I had a good group come in on time, and then the remainder came in throughout the day. And so today I took them to another 35, and they looked like they did pretty darn good. They're all chipped, all ready to go for this week. I did leave a few home, and this is one thing I wanted to mention, guys. For the guys that are training heavily, watch your birds, feel them out. The birds that constantly come home late, those are the birds that don't get the majority of the feed. They get whatever's left, if anything. And like in my case, I have 5 or 6 birds that are starting to go light. I can feel that heavy keel bone. So you gotta at some point, you know, hold them back and feed them up, because they're just gonna get lighter and lighter, especially the ones that are later and later. And you know, from my experience, especially now, all these birds are third hatchers, or third rounders. So they're all young birds, I would say within maybe 3-4 months old, not as mature, not as... Hold them back, just pay attention. It's up to you as the manager of your birds to bring them right. You can see they're walking funny because I put the chips on them yesterday. I'm trying to get them used to the chips. But nonetheless, they came home just fine. I think we're successful on the route for tomorrow's race, or Saturday's race. So I'll keep you guys posted and we'll see how we do. All right, guys.